Hey guys, this episode's brought to you by Mafia 3. Family is who you die for. Pew pew. Nuclear war. It's not just a thing in fantasy worlds like Fallout 4 or the 1980s. The threat is real, y'all, and if you have any hope of surviving the nuclear winter, you're gonna need to listen up. Get ready! This is Epic How To Survive Nuclear Fallout. How likely is an all-out nuclear war? According to a 2008 study by Stanford engineering professor Martin E. Hellman, each person on planet Earth has a 10% probability of dying from a nuclear attack. That's 1,000 more times likely than dying from radiation from living near a nuclear power plant. So how do you survive the most powerful weapon man's ever created? First, you're going to want to be prepared. Put together a supply kit filled with non-perishable food, water, a battery-powered radio, a flashlight, and batteries. Better yet, make two, and keep one at home and one in your car. You're also going to want to steer clear of potential targets. Areas like military bases, government buildings, financial buildings, power plants, ports, and airfields are among some of the most likely places to be bombed. But no matter how prepared you are, you're no match for a nuclear bomb. If a 10-kiloton bomb were dropped on Midtown Manhattan, it could kill 500,000 people and cause $1 trillion of property and economic damages. And that's a nuke smaller than the one used in Hiroshima in 1945. When the bombs start dropping, you're gonna need to make it through the initial blast. And the only way to do that is to be as far away from the bomb as possible. If you're within a third of a mile radius of a 10-kiloton nuclear bomb, you're toast. Plain and simple. Ashes, silhouettes. Even 3/4 of a mile is enough to give a human being a lethal dose of radiation and level most buildings. You're only safe if you're over a mile away from the bomb, and needless to say, the further away, the better. Duh. And while you're getting out of the blast radius, make sure you don't turn around and look, no matter how tempted you are. When a nuclear bomb detonates, it creates a flash of light that's several times brighter than the sun. Looking at it can cause temporary or permanent blindness. Next, you're going to want to take shelter in a nearby building, but not just any building will do. According to US government research, you're going to want to find somewhere made of thick brick or concrete. Look for somewhere with little to no windows. Basements of taller buildings like office or apartment complexes are best. That will limit your exposure to only 1/200th of the nuke's radiation. But what if you're not near shelter? Should you risk going outside? If it would take you 5 minutes to get to good shelter, head there immediately. Experts say a quality shelter offsets the risk of 5 minutes of exposure to radiation. It's worth it. If it's 15 minutes away, stay in your shelter for 30 minutes, then head out. After 30 minutes, you're going to be exposed to more radiation in your subpar shelter than if you were outside. We're weighing the options here. Checks and balances of radiation poisoning. Anything further than that, stay where you are. Los Angeles County Health Director Jonathan Fielding advises that staying where you are, even in inadequate shelter, could prevent many radiation-related illnesses. If you can't find shelter at all, your best bet of surviving is staying low to the ground, covering your head and neck with your arms. This minimizes your risk of dying due to flying debris. If you've survived the initial blast, congratulations! Now you have to deal with exposure to radiation. Nuclear fallout can last up to 3 weeks after detonation, depending on the wind speed, terrain, and weather patterns, so you're going to want to stay put for a little while. Experts recommend staying in your shelter for at least 2 weeks. After that, the radioactive fallout is only at 1% of its initial radiation level. Hopefully, your shelter was underground. If so, lucky you! You're safe from radiation. The Earth's surface will have absorbed most of it. Scrounge up whatever food and water you can, and watch out for any falling radioactive debris. If you are above ground during the blast, you are at a huge risk for radiation sickness, which causes extreme nausea, vomiting, fever, and even death. Stay away from heavy winds or wide open areas at a lower elevation than the blast site. That's where the radioactive material tends to settle. Before you head underground, make sure to wash your skin and hair with soap and water to decontaminate yourself. Even though you want your post-bomb dropping hair to be full of volume, do not use conditioner. It will bind the radioactive material to your hair. Scrub down your clothing too. It's contaminated. Removing just the outer layer of your clothing can remove up to 90% of radioactive material. You might also want to take some potassium iodide. If you take some within the first day of radiation exposure, it will prevent your thyroid from absorbing some of the harmful radiation. But what if it's not just one nuke? What if tons of nukes went off and the world has plunged into post-apocalyptic society? Now what, you ask me? Shut up, let me talk. First, get out of any major cities. Not only do big cities lack suitable land for post-apocalyptic living and farming, but the huge amount of dead bodies will be full of disease. So get the heck away from your decaying brothers and sisters. They're dead, they don't matter. Let them go. Let your emotions go. You're gonna wanna make sure you have proper clothing. Without modern heating and electricity, a post-apocalyptic society is gonna be a lot more exposed to the elements. A good pair of hiking boots will also help, since you're gonna be spending most of your days foraging for supplies. Raid a nearby pharmacy for medicine is a thing that I don't get to say very often. Antibiotics like penicillin are your first priority, as they're gonna help cure common diseases and infections. You're also gonna wanna get antiseptics in case you get cut. Strange as it sounds, you might wanna head to a golf course. What you're looking for are the deep cycle batteries used to power golf carts. These batteries are better than car batteries because they can be recharged later. Extremely helpful in a world without electricity. Am I right? You're also going to want an alternator because it can convert movement into electricity and will recharge your deep cell battery. Next, head to a supermarket. You're obviously going to want to eat all the perishable meat and produce first before it goes bad. But the real prize are the canned goods with their long expiration dates. Here's a fun stat you never thought you'd need. The canned goods section of an average supermarket has enough food to last a single person 55 years. 63 if you also eat the dog food and cat food. And why wouldn't you? It's delicious. And if you see any beer or soda, feel free to snag them. According to a 1956 study by the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission, they're gonna be fine. And what's better than a nice cold lager when you're watching the end of the world, right? Well, look at that. You did it, my friend. You survived a nuclear bomb. Wasn't so bad, was it? Not like it was the end of the world. I mean, maybe just like parts of it or whatever, but you got a lot of things to look forward to, like surviving by the skin of your teeth and maybe populating the earth with somebody that you may not be physically or emotionally attracted to, but you need to further on the species, so you're just gonna do it because you are a good guy or girl. This has been Epic How To. Thanks again to Mafia 3 for sponsoring this episode.